Something just moved. It is the first day. Let's celebrate it as such. So I try to record all the classes. I got a little camera over there. I try to swing it side to side too, in case you're on board and things like that. I put it on YouTube afterwards, usually within 24 hours. That way, if you guys miss class, you can go back and check it out. I'll get you links. I tried to send you guys an email today, but it came back to me undeliverable. I'll figure out how to fix that problem so I can communicate with you. I'm Sean, Matthew 43, yeah? Yeah, good. What if you guys are done after this, math-wise? Matthew 43 is it. We're finished. We're happy about it. I want it to be over. How many of you are taking 244? Matthew 44. Oh, yes. Okay, this is good to know. I'm going to keep asking that. Not to force more of you to take it, but I want to make sure we have the correct number of sections for the spring term in case you guys. Those of you taking 244, are you thinking about taking it in the spring?
Yeah.
Just getting it done? Okay. Any of you guys taking 241 additionally, which is business calc? Couple. You already took it? Anybody still need to take it just so I can see numbers again? Couple three, maybe three.
242.
242 or 245? Remember the name of the course you need?
Business Calc 2.
Business Calc 2?
That's at U of O.
We have to invent that course for you.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm
It's
excited.
going to be a very special course. I'm excited. What the hell is this? 245? Anybody that ring a bell? A couple of you. Sorry if you tried to take it this term and got canceled.
No, I took it last term.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay. So a chunk of you are done. Anybody know they have to take more statistics classes elsewhere, like research methods?
I was told I couldn't take 244 this term, I had to take this first. Is that true?
You do. It's kind of like taking Spanish 2 without taking Spanish 1.
Yeah.
It's just tough. This class leads directly into 244 should you take that journey. If you don't, it's okay. We give you enough in this class to stand on its own. But it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. I've actually had students try to take them both at the same time, and they talk about surviving it. Like they get through it, and like it was like hellish. So yeah, you're doing the right thing for sure. Research methods classes maybe later on. Any environment? We got one or two of those. Yeah. Oh, it's scary. Yeah, for sure. Research methods is great. Anybody in the engineering program, the new engineering program at OSU? Every once in a while I get an engineering here, which is super fun. Only because I used to have fights with my engineering friends back east that swore they would never use probability in engineering. That's loser math. Yeah, okay. I'm building that bridge with hammer and nails too. So, anyway, welcome to 243. This is the math of Google, the math that helps you understand the news. The math that you can understand what comes across your Facebook page. Is it full of crap or is it not? This is a wonderful, wonderful math course. It's very much different than any math course you've taken before. You guys took 111 last term, maybe? How many took 111 last term? Or took 111 before this class at some point? Yeah, a chunk of you. You did more math in the first week of that course than you'll do in the entire term in this course. That does not mean you won't work your butts off in here, but you won't do the math that you did in 111. I know it's survival a lot of times in that course. Yes, it feels like we're doing this stuff just because it seems like some magic routine that has to be done. This course will be meaningful to you. I'm going to show you how it connects to the world around you. I'll take the math out when I can and replace it with more conceptual underlying understanding. There's math in it, obviously. Math is an important part of it, but only as part of the piece, not the piece itself. I know Sherry took 105. Anybody else has taken 105 before this course? Just Sherry? Oh, awesome, awesome. At some point you guys go, wow.
I can't remember which one.
It was about a year ago,
Was it
wasn't
105
it? It was
or
105. Yep, I remember that. It was 105 back in the science building.
Yep.
I remember that. So either of those courses is great. 105 is a more stat-based course. 111, you've paid your dues. You're in the right place now. Yeah, this is the math of Google. I mentioned that only halfway jokingly. It's the math that is important to understand the world around you with. Being able to read the news intelligently. Being able to hear, for example, Congress is now less popular than syphilis. And being able to A, chuckle because it's a good headline, and B, being able to question it and go, is it true? Because it's based on a statistical sample that was done. So those are the kind of questions you'll answer in this course, and also ask more questions at the same time. So welcome to 243. It's a good course. It's a real good course. There's me, Sean. There's all my contact information. I'm going to do this. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, not too dark?
No.
Okay. Today's pretty straightforward. I want to run through the syllabus with you, make sure you understand what's going on, and then I've got just one activity for us all to do together. It's very little writing today. I'm going to post all this stuff for you so you'll have it all.
ready to go. You don't have to write anything down today if you don't want to. I know it's the second day of the term and we're all frazzle fried and probably under caffeinated. So we'll get us through the day. We'll get your brain turning in the way I need it to turn, and we'll pick back up on Thursday. Anyway, this page, I don't know if you can see the address up there. Let me write it down for you. I just got done saying I'm going to write anything. It's just the COCC address with a slash and then S rule if you need to get to it. Please call me Sean. Please, please, please. I learned from you just like you learned from me in here. It's going to be awesome. Email is a great way to get in contact with me. It's probably the best way, just because my schedule is so scattered. This term, not only am I on peer teams, I'm on negotiations, which means whatever free time I just had got pissed away. So if you email me, I promise to get back to you within a day. I just don't know when. It might be at 3 in the morning when I get up to go swimming, but I will get back to you at some point. You'll have an email waiting for you. I do have office hours. Let me throw them up. Computer's over here. They're down here. They're heavy on Monday and Wednesday, unfortunately. Tuesdays and Thursdays are already loaded up. The negotiations got added to Thursday, so I only have 1 hour on Thursdays. I apologize for that. That sucks for Tuesday, Thursday classes. But like I said, email's great. And also, I don't get a whole lot of office traffic. I get a lot of email traffic, which is that could be a consequence of the fact that my office hours suck. But by all means, feel free to email as frequently as you need to. Don't ever feel like you're annoying me with emailing, because you're not. I love hearing from you guys. If you've got questions, please ask them, okay? All right. So anyway, the office is up at Grandview. It's not that far. It's up there, right? Over there somewhere. Yeah, up the hill, a smidge more. Hi, come on in, stay a while. Don't be sorry. Sorry. This is why I don't do a tender job with that, because we're finding plenty. Really good. This is the block of everything I'm doing this term, 105, 243, and 244. Let me get that for myself real quick. So you can ignore most of that because you guys only have to deal with, this is you guys, right? 10245, yeah, this is us right here. And this course information, this is what I want to kind of take you through today, is that link. I want to spend 45 minutes, a little bit more maybe, in that link and make sure you can find everything, because pretty much everything, 90% of the course exists in that link, or will exist in that link. It might not exist there right now, but it will be there as the course unfolds. So I want to make sure that we understand what's in that link. So take a look. This is my very 1990s era looking web page that I put together. Sorry, I learned how to code in the 90s and I haven't really updated it since then. But how many of your attentions were drawn right to the big yellow rectangle when we flopped over? Yes, there's a reason Burger King and McDonald's use those colors of red. Hey, yellow and red, they draw your attention. They very much draw your attention over to them. And that yellow rectangle contains, good morning guys, that yellow rectangle contains everything you need for the course. Some of it more important throughout the entire course than others. The top link, the schedule link, is the most important. I want to go through all of it today once. You might never go back to any of it after today, but I want to make sure you know where everything is in case you do need it. Schedule is by and large the most important. Did everybody see how I got to this page? Off that course information, clicked off of this page? Yeah, good. So, schedule page is definitely the most important. Let's go to that. If you've had it before in class, this hasn't changed a whole lot, so it looks very similar, especially from last term. It looks a little bit like a McDonald's vomit nightmare, a lot of red and yellow. There's a method to my madness, there is. The yellow is kind of the divider of the page, the dividers of the sections of the page, and the red is administratively important things. So I try to color warmth it that way. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go to week 1 here. So week 1, this is everything that's going on this week for all my classes, which means you can tune out 75% of it. You can tune out everything except your guys' 243 later column. This is your guys' column right here. So you can ignore 244, ignore the other 243, ignore this 105. For years, Gesundheit, I've been trying to scratch this and go with a class-by-class index page, but the classes always tell me don't do that, because we like being able to get to the old stuff and or look forward to the new stuff if we need to. So I leave it all in one place, which makes it a little bit much at first, but at the same time, you get used to it. You get used to it. The 90s weren't that bad. Went to the 70s. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, here's our days. You were off yesterday. Here's what we're doing today. Okay? You're off tomorrow. This will eventually have something in it besides a quiz due. We'll talk about quizzes momentarily. There will be stuff here. Then you're off on Friday. We'll come back. Go to week 2. As of right now, there's a big blank spot next Tuesday, which might seem weird, yeah. There's a quiz due in the end of week 2, but it's not linked. Next week, there's a blank on week, what the hell are we doing in here, Sean? So the answer to that is, here's what we're going to be doing in the course. See this homework sheet up here? I want to come back to this momentarily. This is what we're going to be doing in the course. These are the topics I've distilled the course down into. I've distilled it into 9 discrete topics, which I'm totally stoked about because it takes it, instead of having 30 discrete topics, I've got it whittled down to just 9, which works out, I think, much better for the learning process, as opposed to having to rush through things quickly. We take our time through these things. And that's the key, taking the time through them. Because no 2 classes are identical, I can't force a template onto a class and say we're going to do this day, this that day, this day, that day. We're going to start on Thursday with that first topic, which is the Intro to Profit Statistics. History says we'll finish it that day too. When I say finish, I don't mean finish it. I mean we'll get through what we need to do in class, and then I'll say we'll do other stuff. But history says we will finish that on Thursday, and then we can move on to measures of center on Tuesday. But after that, I'm not sure how long things take. Sometimes we take longer, sometimes things go quicker. So rather than fill the schedule page up, I leave it blank and I update it from day to day. So what I do is I run back after the classes are over and I'll take the schedule page, re-upload it, and then links start appearing in all those blank days. So you'll see what we did that day. That combined with you can watch the YouTube videos in case you miss class, you've got like a nice little set of resources of materials that are then present for you. Does that kind of make sense? So it's very much blank right now, but by the end of the term, the whole thing will be filled in with resource material, which is also great if you then have friends in other classes. They end up using these pages too. They end up dropping in and watching the videos and grabbing my materials and things like that, which is fantastic. I don't use Blackboard. This is my Blackboard, so to speak. So there's no Blackboard login for this class. I don't like locking stuff behind passwords. I like them to be open and everybody can find them that way. So just realize that this is how you get to Sean board, I guess we call that. Stack board. Cool? So no Blackboard, no Blackboard. That creates a bit of a problem. We'll talk about that later. I have a couple solutions for it, but it does create a little bit of an issue, but we can work around that. So those are our topics. Those are our topics, and I do want to come back to this page again, this homework page. But so that's why your schedule is a little blank right now. There will be stuff here. After Thursday, there'll be stuff here. After next Tuesday, there'll be stuff here. After next Thursday, but we'll just build it as we go, rather than trying to. Because what's going to happen? I mean, we're not getting any snow right now, but Lord knows we'll get a snow day at some point, and then we have to shove everything around. It's easier just to leave it blank and then just kind of encounter it as we go. Does that ish make sense? Mm-hmm. Ish, yeah. You'll get used to it. Trust me. It looks a little weird right now. I know. So we'll come back to the schedule page over and over again. I want to make sure that, and if you guys have had it before, please chime in with anything that you think should be heard by students. Maybe if you said, like, you know what, that page isn't that important, just chime that in. I want to hear that too from the student's perspective. Because I'm trying to build this stuff for you guys to be able to use it as effectively as possible, but also I want to hear from you guys as well. So that's the schedule page. I do want to come back to this. Let's talk real quick about the materials you need for the course. I just asked about 105 or 111. I'm always interested in that. The textbook is a free online resource. That's the link to it right there. That collaborative statistics book. It's just a 700-page document that opens up. The authors have put together this beautiful resource, and I'm adding to it. It's kind of a new, it's pretty rad actually, this idea of open source textbook marketing. Whereas, well, when people get together, we get tired of the textbook industry and the fact that they charge you, what, $200 for a book and then give you $20 and you sell it back. It's bogus. So here's a freebie for you. Have at it. It's as awesome as any other book that you can buy out there. What it lacks are color pictures. I think you can live without that. But it's a fantastic resource that I augment with other stuff, which we'll also come back to. So whenever I refer to the textbook, I'm referring to that link right there. If you want to buy a copy of it, not everybody's a huge fan of having a 700-page PDF to sort through. If you want to buy, oh please, just wait. If you want to buy a copy, there's a link right here. I think it's $20 or something. Did I just click on that to get it? Oh, I did. Yeah, $17.96 if you want to buy it. I think I've had like 1 or 2 students buy it in the past. It's kind of like we did in 105 with the Larson book. Not as pretty as this book though. Please.
Will it work for the next
It will, and Donna's using it too, in case you take Donna for 244, we're both using this. We talked to each other to make sure we didn't screw students into having to buy a book for half a term, which would be twice as devastating. So yeah, by all means, this will work. Now, I'm going to get in the process of chopping it up. Back in the day, with 105, if you look at this homework sheet that's up here, there are little, I put the textbook links next to 105, the ones that are applicable to those sections. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet with this one, it's still new. I will do that throughout the course of this course. I'll be dropping in, because that way you don't have to go through 800 pages of text or do like a PDF file search to find things. So it's a work in progress, but it's free, and I think that definitely outweighs whatever minor inconveniences. What you'll notice, we'll come back to homework, but I'm augmenting it by creating problems for it and also posting YouTube videos that tie to certain areas of the book, and I'll show you some of those later. But yeah, that's your textbook. So use it in good health.
Can you buy that at the bookstore?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but it will be shipped to you between 3 and 5 days. Naomi, who bought it last term, was blown away by how quick it got to her and how cheap it was. So you can't get it like tomorrow, but by all means, the PDF is there if you want to buy it, and then they'll ship it to you. Shipping's even free. I gave you the ISBN too if you want to do a quick search for it, maybe find it even cheaper. Maybe there's a used copy somewhere floating around. Possible. I don't have a physical copy myself. I lend most of them out, they don't come back. So try to keep it paperless whenever I can. But by all means, yeah, go get a copy of it if you want to. Absolutely. So that's your textbook. Everything else will be posted online for you, whether it's PowerPoints or PDFs or Excel spreadsheets, things like that. I'll have them all posted for you on that schedule page. And speaking of technology, as far as technology goes, my dream would be to teach this class in a computer lab. But there aren't enough of them on campus because they're usually taken up by computer classes, which rightfully have what's the word I'm looking for? Precedence. I gotta start with P. Precedence. So in class, we'll use Excel as far as demonstration goes up here, whenever we need to generate some randomness. But you guys have TIs left over from Math 111 or 105. Yeah, those are great. If you've got smartphones, by all means, you can download apps on your smartphone that can do some of this stuff. I may have to learn them with you, if that's okay. Hopefully that's okay. It won't be that big of a deal. I'm not going to force you to buy a TI-83 or an 84. I bring one to class. I've written programs for the 83 and the 84 that I'll share with you, happily. There are workarounds for those. We can find them online. It might take more time than just class time to do that, but that's where email comes in handy. So we'll make do in class with a non-technological classroom. Outside of class, I'll have you guys in Excel constantly. And I do that for a number of reasons. How many of you guys have used Excel before? There's the first reason. I shouldn't say you've all used it. Most of you have used it. I'm going to assume you've never turned it on in the first time I make you use Excel. So I come at it like, click on the little Excel logo, create a file, drag this down. I show you how to do stuff. Some of the stuff you're going to know how to do. Some of the stuff you've never seen before is going to blow your mind. So I think you'll all learn something in here. But some of you might be obviously more advanced than others. I'm going to assume you're coming in from the ground up. So that's the first reason I use Excel, is because most of you have used it already. Second reason is you all have an Excel accessibility with your COCC or OSU student status. You log in, it's right there on your desktop, so you can all get to it, which is great. Thirdly, it's everywhere. Spreadsheets in general are everywhere, and Excel was kind of the forerunner of that. I guess Quattro Pro too, and Lotus, but Excel seems to have taken over, like with everything else Microsoft does, juggernaut that is. So if you can understand Excel spreadsheets, you can understand any spreadsheet. So when you guys that are going into research methods and other classes use SPSS and SAS and Minitab, you'll be using spreadsheet-based stuff, and you can go back and forth from Excel. So you'll be using quite a bit of Excel on the outside of the class stuff I have you guys do. But in class, we'll tend to use the little handhelds. And you can always probably partner up with somebody that's got an 83 in class if you need to, or out of class for that matter. So that's that. That makes sense so far? Any questions on materials? So you can purchase a copy of the book if you need it. I don't think you're going to need it. I haven't put any on reserve in the library. I should do that. All right. So we'll pop out of there. Pop back to here. Let's go into assessment real quick. Not real quick. We'll spend some time in here so you understand how I collect grades from you guys in here. So let's just do a theoretical, like Thursday, for example. Let's say we come in Thursday and we have a good time learning about that section that I call Intro to Problem Statistics. When we've done everything that I've kind of prepped for that lesson, it doesn't mean we're done with that. We're going to keep referring back to those ideas the entire course and into 244 for that matter. But there will come a time when I'm like, okay, now you guys go practice this and you guys are going to submit some stuff for me. What do you submit? Well, let's go through this one bit at a time. The first thing that you might want to look at is this homework sheet. Because this homework sheet has these PDF documents that are tied to each section. They're tied to each section. The grid up top is tied to the textbook. I've got the sections that are connected where the textbook authors teach the same stuff I'm doing in class. So if you want a slightly different view or a slightly different kind of approach, you can look at how they present some topics. And then underneath that are the problems that I've kind of picked out. Do as many or as few of these as you need to do. And here's why I say that. I approach learning mathematics the same way I approached when I learned how to play the drums 30 years ago. I would go in for my lesson on Monday, and my teacher would give me a bunch of stuff to work on. Bob Brown, bless him, awesome dude. And then I'd go home and I'd play that stuff a few hours a night, you know, till the next Monday. And then I'd go back in, and he would go, oh, you know what, try like that. Let me hear a couple of these things. And he'd pick some random stuff, pseudo-random stuff out of my lessons, and I'd play that for him, and he would then say like, okay, you got that, you got that, you got that. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. So, as an analogy, the lesson on Monday is like our class time together. You going home and practicing would be like looking at this stuff here. Now, the thing is, drums didn't come natural to me. I had to practice for hours. But my friend Pat, bless him, he got the stuff without trying hardly at all. So I'm not going to force everybody in here to do every single one of these problems, because that's ridiculous. You might not need to. How are you going to know if you're getting it or not, though? Well, here's where this kind of document comes in. In the textbook problems, anything that's not hyperlinked has a solution in the book. So you can try the problem and then look at the book for the solution to see if you're getting it. Anything that is hyperlinked doesn't have a solution in the book, so what I did was I made a YouTube video to go with it. So let's just click on this 12, see what that's all about. Part the first. Let's get it. There I am. And there is volume. Hang on. Up. There's volume.
See the number of babies on each flight.
Anyway, so there you go. So you've got me working through the problem seriously. Yeah, it's like, oh my god. I think it works. It works because now you've got these resources that are multi-dimensional. I realize everybody learns differently. So this way, if you're a visual learner, you do the ones that have YouTube videos. If you're not a visual learner, do the ones that have textbook answers, right? So that way you've got like a nice choice. No, I think it's, I try to always wear a punk band t-shirt too to kind of support it. It's a punk band from Seattle. I try to always wear a band t-shirt when I make them, so I'm always giving the band some props. So anyway, they're out there. They're out there for you. I didn't put any ads on them. I was going to monetize it and then give the money to student scholarships, but I thought that would piss you guys off too much. I would wait through an ad each time. So I said, forget it. We won't do that. So you can see there's a bunch right there, and there's a lot more linked in. Sometimes they're just Excel. They're just an Excel, like me talking while running an Excel sheet. This is averaging group data versus raw data. You'll see that one in your homework for center. So I've got, I think, 700 some videos uploaded, including class videos. Some of those are class videos. Some of them are these individual little ones here. So you've got a nice resource bank of work to work off of. And you can always ask me for help too, obviously. I'm not trying to offload you asking me for help. It's just that I want to leave class time not as homework time. I want to leave class time as discussion time, uncovering time, generating data time, playing with data time. Homework's kind of like you do it on your own. And then you come to email me if you get stuck, come to office hours if you get stuck, that kind of thing. Kind of make sense? So do as much or as little as you need. Some students might not ever need to do any homework, and that's okay too. I'm not going to come to your house. I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And just like my friend Pat, he learned the drums much quicker than that. It's more natural to him. So let's talk about what I will grade. So if I'm not going to grade, sorry, time out. One more thing on homework. Down here, under the grid, I call them E problems, E for extra. They're ones I've created on my own, and these will eventually go into that textbook, the textbook that you're using. I haven't made it in there yet. They have solutions down at the bottom somewhere. Here they go, down here. And they're all verbal for the most part now. As the term goes on, I'll make videos for those too. It's just, that's an ongoing process of finding 3-4 hours at a time to knock out 5-minute videos. So, cool. Each little lesson's got a whole section of this to go along with it. And each little link is a video, and each non-link is in the book, so you've got a nice little resource back there. It's pretty rad now. Students from other schools are finding this and they're starting to use it, which is great. It's the whole point. I'm an educational socialist. Here, take it. Take it. This is what makes sense. I'm not a trained statistician, which I think is the most powerful asset I bring to this class. Because I don't come at it the way it's always been come at for the past 100 years. I come at it from, that doesn't make any sense. Let's make it make sense. And you're seeing me making it make sense to myself, which translates out to kind of making sense to students too. So, I remember sitting in your chair the first time and being like, no. And asking a lot of questions, and sometimes not getting answers, I have to figure it on my own, so I remember the feeling. Okay, where were we? Assessment. So anyway, if I'm not going to grade your homework, what am I going to grade? Well, here's what I'm going to grade, this stuff here. Did you notice a bunch of those quiz do? You're going to have a bunch of those posted throughout the course of the term. I put one in each week for now. Some weeks I might throw 2 up. Some weeks I might throw 3 up. Don't panic. I'm seeing some, what? 3? You're going to have to do 10 quizzes throughout the term. You're going to have more. Now this is something I've never done before. I've never made you do quizzes before. I'm going to start that this term. But you're going to have lots of quizzes to choose from. So you're going to have probably between 25 and 30 quiz options to pick from. And your job is to turn in 10 of them. I don't care which 10. You pick 10 of the ones that are posted and turn those in. This way, you can do more than 10, but you have to do 10. So you have to do at least 10 throughout the term, including, for example, the one you'll turn in on Thursday, which we'll come back to. Ask me that question. Tell me your name.
Rory.
Rory, go.
If you take, like, say you do all of them, you take the highest grade you can.
I haven't thought about that. I have something called a rainy day coupon for the quizzes, which I have to create and post, which means if you tag a quiz, you can redo that one.
Okay.
Which I think will have the same effect that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I want to let you take more than 10
Yeah.
and count them, because if I just take, here's why. Actually, let me come back to that question. The more quizzes you do, they tend to have, you can back me on this or counter this, you have it before. The more quizzes you do, if you kick butt on them, they tend to push your average up. So I don't want to just take 10 if you do 15 and do great on all of them. I want to count them all as 15.
If you can like count them as like less points.
Well, I do that by virtue of what they're worth. Thank you, Rory. They're each worth only 10 points. So by definition, and because of that, they're only a small subset. It might be like one homework problem length of thing to do. So it's only a 10-point quiz as it is. So I think we took care of that by the weighting of them. Thank you for that, though. Very good. I hadn't considered just taking 10, but I kind of want to take all of them because they tend to inflate grades, and I like that when you guys get your grades all raised. There's also some that I do in class, starting, I think, in the second week. When you guys come to class, and sometimes I bring them to class. We did that in 105 every once in a while, too. And you can do those and count those as part of your 10. Okay? I'm going to email you guys a progress report every week. And in that progress report, you'll see a little spot that says, remember, you still have quizzes to do. And we'll count the in-class quizzes towards that. We'll count the ones that are hyperlinked on the website towards that. So if you get to week 4, and let's just say that in week 4 there's a standard deviation quiz, and you look at it and you're like, the hell with this thing. Well, the beauty of having more than 10 posted is you don't have to do that one. You can just put it aside and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that one right now. I'm going to let it go. Good, that's fine, let it go. Do the next one. Or don't. Just do 10 at some point throughout the term. Your choice. Does that kind of make sense? This is before I made all quizzes optional. Now, what I noticed was most students were doing all of them anyway. And I'm like, okay, well, if most students are doing all of them anyway, and people keep saying, if you made the quiz, this is something I kept hearing too in the evals, if you made the quizzes mandatory, I'd do them more. I'm like, actually, you're lying, because you're doing them anyway. But let's try that. Let's try making it mandatory and see what happens. So that's what I did. I made at least 10 mandatory. Anything else you can do just to pad your grade even more. So, because they tend to be padding, they tend to be grade padders. If that's even a word, but it is now. They tend to raise averages overall because people tend to kick butt on them. Work, you don't do them in class. You do them outside of class. You work with each other, use the internet, use resources, use the tutors. Use the tutors wisely though, please. Don't walk down there with a blank quiz and go, boom, let's do it. Because they will say, get the hell out of here. Go to them if you're stuck. Like walk down there and like, look, I can get the distribution. I've got the random variable values, I just can't remember how to find the average of this. And they'll be like, oh, that's awesome, and they'll walk you through that. They'll walk you through how to do it. But you have to bring something to the table besides a blank quiz. And smile. FYI, speaking of tutoring, just reminded myself of this. On the schedule page, this first week, I put the library tutoring schedule here for you. This is input for you. Sorry, my glass get on in there for a second. In Bend, this is pretty rad. This is pretty rad. There is math tutoring, but check this out. Kelly has created both 243 and 244 tutoring. There are a lot of 243 hours. Every day of the week has some stat tutoring for 243. This is freaking rad. What me and Kelly have been working for years on the tutoring for statistics because it is a different language than math. Statistics is like math, like Portuguese is like Spanish. So you see what I'm getting there? They're very, very similar, and they're rooted in the same thing, but they're also definitely distinct, and there's their own nuances. So I love the fact, this is something she did do, I think, this year, where there's actually a split between the two subjects, because the two subjects are very much like Portuguese and Spanish, and you'll see, if those of you going down 244's path, will see that too. The reason I bring this up, if you have homework help and you want to go to the tutors, please find a stat tutor. And if you've used the tutoring center before, there's a red and green can, I believe you use. There's a yellow and blue can down there now for stat questions. This is also brilliant, because this way the math tutors, I've seen so many of them walk up, oh, you have 243 questions? They just walk back away. This way they'll see you from a distance. Okay, that's a yellow can, stay away. And the stat tutors will come to you, Jose and Amber and who else is down there? Greg, Danielle. There's a half a dozen down there. I've met most of them now, and they're all fantastic. One of them, one of the new ones, just asked me to send all my stuff to her so she could look it all over the break and be prepared for you guys when you came down to her. Wow. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is free. They're not paying you enough to do that, but I appreciate it because now, especially the way I approach this class, statistics is non-traditional enough, and I come at it even more non-traditionally. So having the tutors prepped ahead of time for your questions is the best thing we could possibly do. The easiest thing is always to ask me, hands down. I know exactly where we are. I kind of know the way I think, most times. Most times. So the easiest thing is just to ask me, but if you can't, the tutors are awesome. Just make sure you grab a stat tutor and not a math tutor, if you can help it. Sometimes the math tutors are feeling brave. Sorry, a little scattered right there. I wanted to make sure I got back and showed you that tutoring link. So anyway, do quizzes make sense? I want you to work together on them. I love watching you guys work together. It's funny, when you think about academia and how it's very often portrayed, you know, we're sitting in class and we're taking tests with our heads down and a pencil in our hand with the books closed. And after like 15 years of doing that, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Nothing works this way except academia. Let's try to give you all the resources you can possibly. You'll be Google searching a lot of these resources. Go find the average weight of a 5-year-old. Go find the standard deviation based off this chart of a 6-year-old. Tell me what percentage of them can ride Tower of Terror. Yeah, those are the kinds of, is this height requirement fair? Is the height requirement they're requiring fair? I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're going to be answering this question. It's not like x equals 2 stuff from like Math 111. It's definitely, you're going to be answering things in paragraphs sometimes. So get used to writing. If you want to type instead of write and hand stuff in type, that's fine too. Totally fine with that as well. So, anyway, quizzes make sense. I read a couple research studies over the past couple of years that show that constant assessment, constant small assessment is better than large blocky assessment. So what I'm trying to do is mix both together, or actually 3 different ways. This is the constant small assessment, the turning into quizzes. So my intent of having you turn in at least 10 is that's an average of 1 per week. So you're turning in 1 quiz each week we're in class together. That doesn't mean you have to. It's just that's what it averages out to. Please, and tell me your name.
Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn. Go.
I was wondering, the quizzes that we pull those up on, do you want those printed out?
You don't have to. You can do them on scrap paper. This is what I was said about the downside of not using Blackboard. Blackboard would give me a submission tool where you could just do them in Blackboard and submit them. I don't have my Sean board set up yet. You can't submit anything electronically. You can print them out if you want to, or you do them on scrap paper, or type them up. And some students just do like a full copy, drop it into a Word document, and then do it that way. That's fine. I don't want you to have to print things. Print things, what, like $8 a page now or something ridiculous. You don't have to. I'm a bit hyperbolic sometimes. Apologies. You don't have to print if you don't want to. Because some of the projects, for example, are like 10 pages long. I don't want you to print all that out just to hand it back to me. So, if some students though like to have the physical copy in front of them. So by all means, if you want to print, maybe a bunch of you go in and print it together, and then share the document, and then submit your own work. But please do submit I put that in a couple different places. You're submitting your own stuff. I want you to work together. And it's funny because a lot of my colleagues are like, how do you know they're not cheating? And I'm like, I hope they are cheating. And because by definition of cheating is you're working together to help each other learn. That's different than one person doing it and 4 people copying off of that and handing it all in. I can tell if you do that. Please don't do that. I hate giving zeros out, and I don't have to do it very often because you don't do it very often. But I hope you are cheating, because I want you to learn from each other. I love it when you guys talk to each other. It's amazing. No, he doesn't mean that. What does he mean? I don't know. Let's read it again. Yes. It's like near mental fist fights. It's great, but never gets to the level of aggro. Good. Good. Anyway, those are quizzes. Make sense? Any questions so far? How many do you have to do? Can you do more?
Yes.
Yes. And there will be a thing called a rainy day coupon, which I'll explain to you later on when it's more applicable. Okay. Okay. Projects. This is the next bit of assessment. If you had me in 105, we had a few of these too. Projects. Okay, let's go back to the schedule page real quick so you can see where they live. One's in week 3, right here. Now you guys are here, right? Week 3. One, I believe, is in week 6. Yep, there's that one. One is in week 8. Yep, super counting. There it is. And then one, I believe, was in week 10. Yeah, here we are. So what these are is, well, let me give you motivation for some of them. My neighbor was pregnant about 5 years ago, and she got an amniocentesis exam done, the amnio draw. And the test came back positive for Down syndrome on her fetus. And she flipped. And I said, let's just sit down and do some math, and I guarantee I can make you feel better about this. And she's like, okay. Now think about that statement. Let's sit down and do some math, and it'll make you feel better. And it did. Because what I was able to show her was, based on her positive test result, there was a 99.99, I'm going by memory here, it's written down in the document, you'll see it, 99.99% chance her baby was fine. Based on a positive test result. Now how can that be? How could a test come back positive for Downs and come back 99.99% likely that the baby is just fine? Hey, FYI, Adeline is just fine. Little rambunctious 4-year-old now. I crap out of my son all the time. How could it be? Because the positive test result was what kind of a positive? A false positive, which no textbook gets into. But it's hugely important. Hugely important to be able to understand a false positive and also a false negative. I dragged this topic into 244 as well. This entire project essentially deals with false positives and false negatives and true positives and true negatives. Being able to look at the reliability of a test, the sensitivity, the specificity, terms that actually do pop up quite a bit in the medical field. How many nurses we got in here? Yep, false positives. Being able to explain to your doctors what false positive means. I tested positive for hypothyroidism 3 years ago. Hypothyroidism, tested positive. Now, you look at me. Obviously, you guys know what hypothyroidism is supposed to look like. This is not it. But he's like, well, your test came back. I'm like, but look at every other piece of information. He's like, I know, that's what's got me confused. I'm like, so why are you writing a prescription out for thyroid drugs? Because it's habit. It tested positive. He's got hypothyroidism. Or it's a false positive. And guess what? I tested again the next year. Normal. And false positives happen. This will teach you how to measure them and see how likely they are and how you should believe a positive test result. So I use Lyme, my own personal experience with Lyme disease is in there. I've had it 3 times now. HIV testing, disease testing, spam filtration, spam filters on the email, like they're all in there. It all has to do with false positives and false negatives. So the reason why these projects exist is because I've hit something in my life and I'm like, this is really cool. And then as I dive into it mathematically, I realize, wow, this is the kind of thing every student should learn how to do. It should be looking at, but no textbook covers it. So essentially, it's like a textbook chapter on its own, if you will. It won't be included in your quizzes, and they won't be included in the exams because they're fairly in-depth. They're already loaded. You can get into these right now and look at them if you want to. This one up here, this for example, the super counting one up here. This guy has an Excel spreadsheet to count. You have to spend some time in it. Like devote an hour to reading it. This is why I don't want you to have to print them out because some of them can be 10 pages long. So spend some time reading them carefully. Don't wait until the last minute on these things. You can start the first one tonight if you wanted to. I'm not making you. But you could start that first project tonight if you want. It's not due till week 3. But you can get into it now. They're self-contained. Please, Rory, go.
I had a question about false positives.
Please.
Is it because they don't take in like all the variables into account?
Thank you for, I should have brought that up. The reason why Kim's result was 99.99% likely to have a healthy baby is because she was not an at-risk mother. The test she took was designed for at-risk mothers. For at-risk mothers, the positive test result rate is extraordinarily good. But for non-at-risk mothers, it's awful. It's notoriously bad. So yeah, because that variable was ignored. But the problem is, how many healthcare providers know that? I hope most of them, but I don't know. Why was she even given the test?
Right.
I mean, she was probably offered the test and she said, yes, it's a piece of information that I should have. No, it's actually not. It's kind of like people on Deal or No Deal. Keep playing, keep playing. No, sometimes you should stop. Because you've made as much money as you're going to make and it's only going to go downhill from there. That's Rory. We'll get into it, I promise you. Great question. And that is looking at all the data. We'll come back to that today too. Thank you. Any other questions? Work together on these, yes? Work with tutors, yes? Work with tutors effectively, of course. Don't walk down there the night. Please, promise me you will not go down there the night before one of these things is due and go, let's do it. Because people actually do that occasionally in this class, and it really pisses them off. And when I hear about it, it pisses me off. So just please don't do that. I've given you ample time to knock these things out. They are self-contained. They're their own things. They're already all linked. I would go in order. If you want us to get a jump start and start working up, don't jump around, go in order, because there are certain things, there's a reason I put that one in week 10 and week 8. There's a reason for that. So just make sure you go in order, but you can start anytime you want to. So there's 4 of those, and they are 25 points a pop, which is another 100 points. So now each of the quizzes in the project is essentially 25% of your overall grade. All done out of class. All done with neighbors, out of class, so forth and so on. Good so far? You guys buying this? Okay. Okay. I love letting you guys work together. It's so funny, the traditional academics, when they find out I do this, how are they not cheating? It's so cute. It's not like I know something they don't know. They are cheating. It's great. Anyway, exams. I changed this from last term. Last term, I used to do exams half in class, half out of class. So half of them were that traditional kind of paper, pencil, boom, individual, blah, blah, blah. And this was the first time ever that my surveys, the majority, a slight majority, said, it'd be nicer if they were all out of class. So I said, you know what, to hell with it, let's try it. So your exams are out of class just like projects are. The difference is, the exams are tied to topics like the quizzes. The projects are their own things. They're standalones. You won't see that mathematics directly in either the exams or the quizzes. These exams are like cumulative quizzes, so to speak. I find ways to tie all the topics together into a certain small number of problems, and then you'll submit those. And I'm going to give you plenty of time to work on these bad boys. I'm thinking 2 weeks out from their due dates, I'll get them posted so you can start working on them. Work on them slowly. Again, don't wait till the night before to do them, because you may have to get online and do a bunch of Googling to find pieces of information for it. So there are 100 points a pop. One is in week 5 and one is in the finals week. But again, outside of class, with friends, with resources, with tutors, with me. Okay? And just when stuff is due, just bring it to class and drop it. That's the downside of not having Blackboard. You have to bring stuff to class to turn in. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. A little bit old school. So there's you got a minimum of 400 points. You might have more, depending on how many quizzes you do, yeah? You could have probably upwards of 500 points if you decide to do 20 quizzes versus 10. So everybody has a minimum of 400 they have to do, but then they can go up from there. And then to do your grade, it's just a matter of the ratio. We'll do that. You guys are starting to get this glossy look. Take you out for 5 minutes, make you walk around a little bit, get some air. Does this make sense right now, to this point? Okay, get out of here for 5 minutes, walk around, get some water, get some air. I kick you out of here every 45 minutes or so, because you shouldn't be sitting there that long anyway. We'll talk about how to do the grades in a minute.